Patrick, I want you to respond to this comment on our show last week from Travis Auld when I reckon he let something slip about the AFL's plans for this season.
We think the game could probably benefit from some compression. The feedback we're getting from clubs is that they are, they'd rather be playing than sitting around in the hubs, probably play and then recover and play again. And so we'll look to stick to the same format in terms of interchange.
So we know you're in 9 days of lockdown and really keen to play more games, but do you think there's method in the AFL's madness? They're using this crisis to test your fatigue? I mean, not in a nasty way, but yeah, go ahead.
No, look, I think so. I think it's one thing. Yes, absolutely, we'd rather be playing than extended breaks between games, certainly in a lockdown situation. That being said, when there's the short period between games that, we're all going to experience over the next month, I think perhaps there may have been an opportunity to have an extra few on the bench, particularly if we're going to have games where your favourite player isn't playing. And had there been an extra few, then perhaps clubs might have been more willing to play their players and only play them for half of a game, which with the current setup, it might only be 30 to 40 minutes. So I suppose it's something that will continue to be reviewed.
Patrick, are you in the camp? We mentioned this. Kerry Packer, of all people, said we should have 15 players on the ground. Some have said 16. Would you rather have more on the bench and less on the ground to open things up rather than trying to fatigue players and then run into injury problems?
Yeah, my personal view, and I know I'll be slammed on social media for this, and generally am, if we want to open up the game, it is reducing the number of players on the ground. And that purely, Ed, for me, is just having seen some of the practice games that we've had that the AFL's organised where it has been 16 aside. The ball really does move quite freely. Whenever teams free up and try and free up space, and Ross will know this, you generally have 6 ahead of the play to try and man up that extra number in defence or whatever it might have been. If you had 2 less on the ground, the idea that there would be, more free-flowing, more scoring, more enjoyment for the fans.
I want to briefly talk to you about umpires. So Hayden Kennedy, the umpire's boss, apologised to Brett Ratton after Monday night's St Kilda Adelaide game. Don't think all the umpire fraternity was actually thrilled about this. I'd like to ask you about Ray Chamberlain's comments, though, that followed this on SEN. Let's have a listen.
I know that there are some things there that a fan in particular, through that lens, may find alarming. A lopsided free kick count. So I think it was 22-10 to Collingwood. Now, on review, after having all of our assessment, that number was meant to look more like 25-8. Overall, from a decisional perspective, Thursday night we had an above-average night in terms of our accuracy.
What do you make of that, Patrick?
That was the Geelong-Collingwood game you were speaking about.
Yeah.
And I thought that Collingwood had been robbed all night and now it's been confirmed. Pat, what do you reckon?
Patrick.
Ed, you must be doing a very good job of sort of just going through the playing list and making sure they know exactly what's going on, because of those 8 free kicks that we gave away, 4 of them were out in a full. So I do look at that and I do look at that and think, in 110 minutes of footy, if there's 4 free kicks in field play, that's quite astonishing to me, but they reviewed it thoroughly.
So just on that, Paddy, then, so you've obviously, I believe, I know Eddie doesn't believe it, but you got the wrong end of the green. Yeah, so what do you
Your words, Matty.
You must scoff at what Ray just said then.
I just look at it and go, and I just find it amazing that in a game of footy, 110 minutes, and I haven't reviewed the deck in depth, but there's only 4 free kicks in field play being 25. I just find that difficult, but they put far more work into it than certainly I do.
I just think, the umpires are sacrosanct, and you can see Paddy being very diplomatic. It concerns me that the head of the umpiring, even when there's a game that's not great, comes out and makes a public statement, rings it. And then an umpire that is in the game, that I watched that game and I'm unbiased, and in that last quarter when Geelong were making a run, I reckon 5 went against them in a row, I threw my Pino up in the air. So But it's concerning me.
Glad I'm not at your house in front of the
me
footy.
that Ray Chamberlain feels comfortable to talk about it. You know what? We'll protect you, but I think at the other end, let's just keep a quiet end to it as well.
It's interesting because in the past there's been phone calls from the umpires to a club and say, look, I think we might have you might have been on the wrong end of it, or you might have got a good run. But no one's ever said much about it. But now we're out in the public saying it.
Well,
so
Sam
What's an
McClure
achievement?
found out about it and it became a story, and I don't think all the umpires were happy
I'll
about
just
it.
say then, Jack Steele this morning, Paddy, said that he's unsure. He doesn't know what's going to be holding the ball and what's not going to be. Since Clarko made those comments, have you got an idea of what's going to be paid and what's not going to be out on that field in terms of the holding the ball rule?
No, I agree with Jack Steele, Lloydie. Yeah, it's incredibly difficult to get a grasp on. And I get the game is the hardest game in the world to umpire. It's 360, the length of it, the ground that the umpires have to cover. I get it's really difficult. But certainly this interpretation at the moment has players confused. And the last thing that we want is our players second-guessing themselves
And
going to get the ball. When that is the point of our game.
Yeah, and the best part so far is they are starting to give free kicks for in the back, which is starting to at least protect the ball carrier or the player going for the ball.